Hey guys, we're back for episode 2 of CryptoFaz Academy, whatever this is, and we're going to get right into it. Today's topic, I would say this week's topic, but we haven't guaranteed that we're going to be doing this once a week. So today's topic, but we're planning to. Today's topic is crypto energy consumption. I actually planned out this a couple weeks ago, and then all of a sudden it started coming up in the news a lot, especially with Elon Musk and his apparent issue with Bitcoin energy all of a sudden. So got a couple things that we want to go into. One, why are NFTs bad for the environment? Two, what's the big deal about energy consumption if most Bitcoin mining is from renewable sources? So I'm going to just, I should probably say who's actually here in the podcast today. We have Praetorian Titan again, as usual. He's the picture on the right there, no hair. And then there's Mal. Mal is from CryptoFaz Academy Discord and from the Gala Games Discord. I'll just say that's where I know him from. He can introduce himself, tell us where else he's from. Mal, you're up.
Hello. So, yeah, I said just before we started, I disagree on the NFTs being bad. I think the problem is how easy it is to just produce an NFT. And then there's now a big hype around NFTs, which means everyone thinks they're going to be the next, best NFT producer. Everyone's looking at Hashmas, I think, and punks and all these things.
Well, it does take energy to make an NFT. It requires an Ethereum miner to crunch some numbers and consume some electricity just to verify the transaction. If you have a lot of NFTs or big NFTs, they're going to be doing a lot of work. So how would that be offset?
There is days where you can see that there's a lot of NFTs affecting the Ethereum network, and that's what I mean. I do think that's a problem. That it's just how easy it is for everyone to do it. Everyone just does it. I get so many messages of people just like asking if I want to look at their NFTs or just whatever. It's just so everyone's just trying to do their own little project and hope that because of how easy it is for you to like list on OpenSea, for example, that encourages everyone to be like, ooh, what if my silly NFT sells a 1F by chance because someone loves it? I think the ease of being able to sell your NFTs as well as make them is causing the problem of the overconsumption. Because a year ago, you weren't really hearing about it. It wasn't really a problem until NFTs become a big fad, I think.
Once they got shown on Saturday Night Live and they have the NFT song now. Have you heard that song?
No, I haven't.
Saturday Night Live, they have one of the cast members came up with a song called "What the Hell Is an NFT." It's actually pretty good.
Well, you're starting to see more like celebrities are just all bringing out NFTs, and now they're moving on to other chains, which is nice. So, you got your Wax and all these things. So they're moving away from the Ethereum network, which we knew would happen anyway. It was only a matter of time before your average Joe was not going to pay a single fee, and someone had to make a layer 2. And that's what I think. That's what it'll progress. That's why I don't think they're a problem. I think it's just the technology right now. It's just colliding with what the amount of people that are jumping in and doing NFTs. As I say, it wasn't really a problem 6 months ago, and already there's new layers coming to support the problem with NFTs and how you don't really want to be paying to move your NFTs around, especially if it's a gaming NFT.
So you think after a while it won't be a problem that the energy consumption will somehow go down?
I think it'll quicker than it will with coins for sure. I think coin energy consumption and NFT consumption, I think the NFTs will move to the layer 2 far quicker. Obviously, we have the layer 2s now for the coins, but I still think, there's going to be a lot of mining stuff going on for a good few years, I think, before. But I think with the NFTs, it'll be mainly a year or two. Because if you look at, Gala Games now, for example, the layer 2's coming. There's going to be multiple of them. And then that technology exists then for other types of just people who aren't using NFTs for gaming, even art. You don't want to be paying to mint your art all the time, or people don't want to be after paying $150 on OpenSea for a $25 NFT. It just doesn't make sense, and it won't survive if it carries on like that. So I don't think it'd be a problem either way.
Well, other chains are going to steal, you could say, NFT space away from Ethereum. I mean, Tezos is spinning up with NFTs, and I know Cardano is, and well, even XRP is. They have an NFT solution in the works.
Yeah, so see, it's these things that just the Cardano one is one I'm looking forward to, but it's these things that I just don't think NFTs are a problem. They are now in the sense of what they're doing to gas fees, definitely, but I think overall they're not going to be a problem, and they're not really a problem.
If we break this down into something even more basic, so we're talking about the energy use, and there's someone that's going to be out there that's going to complain about energy use. If this was done on paper, someone would be complaining about cutting all the trees down. If this was done just by electronic storage, it would be complaints about processing chips and how maybe over in Asia they're taking all the they're polluting because they have to do more hard drive builds. There's always going to be a complaint.
Well, that's a really good point. I just wanted to stop you. I'm sorry. It's a really good point about the fact that people complain about paper productions. So if we've had an NFT explosion, and if all these NFTs were instead printed on paper, and then the paper production would go up, and the cost of transporting them around would factor in, and stuff like that. So are we really being accurate when we're saying NFTs are, wasting a lot of electricity when it would just be something else anyway?
And that's like on the most basic level, what I think. I think a lot of it has to do with finding an excuse to resist change. If there's a way that they can put things out there that enrage people, whatever it might be, so that they won't use them and they can go back to doing things the way they've always done them for the past X number of years, I think they're going to try it.
Well, it depends on who you are. It depends on who you are. I'll just say, if you are a stereotypical liberal, you're going to be saying, I don't like the energy wasting. If you're a stereotypical conservative, you're going to say, I don't want things to change from the way that it is. And I think people are hitting it from all angles. I don't think everybody's in agreement on this, but it depends on who you are.
Well, I do think you're going to see, like right now, this, from what I see at least, a lot of the NFTs that are being created is more along the lines of a money grab. So everybody looks at that and goes, ooh, if I go into my graphics program and I make something flashy that moves with an arm that goes up and down, it's going to sell and I'm going to make $1,000. When this gets turned into more of a utility, to where stores out there are issuing coupons and NFTs instead of on paper, and it actually takes more of a utility role, I think it'll be a lot different.
Plus, you can add things like the Kings of Leon NFT. I bought that one. Just the possibility that they mentioned they might add features to owning the NFT, and I think there could be a lot of that, where like artists can sell their art with an attached bonus as well. Like that's the utility side I see from, you got your art NFTs, obviously the gaming NFTs, plenty of utility. I think utility is everything, as Titan said there. I just think everyone's just trying to get a $1,000 hit on something stupid that they've made at the moment.
So, I'm sorry, are you saying that utility is going to counterbalance the negative environmental effects?
Well, I don't think it's going to stop people doing what humans do. Humans are humans. People are always going to be people, really. I think it'll just move to layer twos. That's what I think will happen. the saturation will be there for many years while the mass adoption happens, but I think it'll move to a layer 2. It'll move away from Ethereum.
Well, I totally agree, Mal. You get to a point where, and I know Faz and I have talked about this offline several times, and one of the tenets here with crypto is that if there's a problem, someone who's smarter is going to come along and solve that problem quicker rather than later.
Yeah, the decentralized nature is what I think. It just powers it so much faster because no one has to be told, well, you can help. I mean, you can't help. We don't really like your credentials, but there's no sides. It's just sort of, can you solve this problem? Everyone can try. You get the global brain rather than the selective brain, I think, with crypto.
Well, coming out of that paradigm is hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around also. You could even make an argument that all of this screaming and hollering about energy consumption is coming out of the United States. And then you turn around and look at it and realize it's a global thing. And globally, other countries and other places where they make these things is doing a far better job than the United States is of getting renewable energy. China has during the wet season, they have basically unlimited cheap power from the hydro side. And over in the United States, it's estimated somewhere around 20% is renewable. So is it the guilt of the United States saying, hey, we haven't done enough, so we're just going to point our fingers everywhere else so nobody points their finger at us for being so lousy at this?
I think there's a lot of virtue signaling, and there's a lot of angles as well, as mentioned. Like, people just have their own. Some people don't want crypto to do well. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but obviously there are people out there that just wouldn't want crypto to do well. It just works not in their favor in some ways. So you're going to get all sorts of, and then countries being behind as well. Like, you're going to get that side of it as well. Some countries might feel threatened by how far they are behind with it. I feel like that's why you get a lot of countries banning it, because they don't really have a clue what's going on at the moment.
Well, I think this might be a good point to dovetail into that energy consumption of Bitcoin mining in general. There's more than just Bitcoin doing mining. There's Dogecoin actually has mining, and Ethereum has mining. There's a whole bunch of others. There's a whole class of cryptos that have mining. What's it matter if this mining is coming from renewable sources, which most of Bitcoin mining is, for example, is coming from renewable sources? What's it matter? In my 2 cents on that, before I have you guys say something, is, boy, it'd be nice if we could use that energy for something else. However, the counter argument to that is making it actually provides an emphasis or a stimulus for renewable energy to come up. Nothing motivates people more than money. And if you can put up a solar farm or a wind farm, knowing that you're going to make a lot of money from Bitcoin miners, they're going to do it. And Bitcoin miners keep flocking to hydroelectric dams. I mean, to right next to them, plopping their stuff right next to the dam to take advantage of the short transmission lines and taking advantage of renewable resources.
Yeah, I agree there fully. Actually, I don't think it. I think as long as it is renewable, there's always going to be the actors that don't use renewable, and obviously sometimes power comes from a fossil fuel. But I agree with pretty much what you said there.
Well, and I would say too, renewable is fantastic. I think we need to move that direction anyway. Geothermal has only been explored, in some remote places right now. I mean, yeah, there's only certain places you can do that, but exploring those things, and I think it is a separate issue between arguing, renewable energy versus fossil fuel energy, and then taking it to the other side and saying, what is too much? as this planet grows, we're going to need more energy either way. And at some point, when we do convert over to more and more renewable energy, is this argument even still valid? If we had unlimited renewable energy, would there still be an argument here?
Well, as Faz said, I feel like the best way to push the technology is to usually find a profit in it. It's usually war or profit that will drive a technology. As I say, if people are finding they're making more money because it's cheaper off renewable, they'll invest that money into renewable. So I think if we're going to get to the goal of being more as a planet focused on renewable, I think something that, I think, what was it, about 77% of Bitcoin mining is renewable. I'm sure that's only going to grow because it's expensive. So people are going to choose the cheaper alternative regardless, which I then think will push private investors and obviously states to invest in renewables, because there's a big green push coming anyway from the political side that's separate from crypto. So I think that's also having a bit of say in there. Like, well, I know in Britain especially, they're going on about all the carbon and being green and whatever by certain dates. So I think that agenda going on, they're definitely going to start targeting anything they can moan about to look like they're doing a better job. It's just how it is, isn't it?
Right. And it switches. So of course the news media narrative is going to jump on the sensationalism when they say that, China is where all the mining is in it. It's 90% of the Bitcoin mining happens in China. And do we really want China controlling? Okay, so what they don't understand is that does flip-flop. Not all, it isn't 12 months a year that the Chinese are doing 90% of the mining. It's really only during their wet season. So it's about 6 or 7 months of the year is when they do that. When there's not a lot of rain and being able to develop the hydropower, they're not doing the bulk of the mining. And they can go as low as 20% of the mining during almost half the year. So it isn't about how it's distributed. It's taking advantage of those renewable resources. And it's not a bad thing, I think, if we, for lack of a better way to put it, allow China to get that 90% when they have the ability to do it with clean energy.
Well, that'll happen with that'll happen with solar, especially because solar, they actually have to waste energy. I think in the middle of the day or something like that. Because with solar, you can have too much energy during the day and not enough energy at night. And you can actually use miners to take some of that away rather than lower their capacity or shut off, transmission lines or whatever.
Wasting that energy, if they have that abundance of energy, what are they going to do? They're going to divert that energy to something that's going to make things worse, like aluminum smelting, which is going to dump, ridiculous amounts of pollutants everywhere. They're going to find a use for the energy. Now, if it's something that's going to benefit us all a little bit more, like Bitcoin mining, and turning it into, as Mal said earlier, a situation where it's going to pay for itself and ultimately over time lower the cost, that has to be looked at as well. And I don't think people are looking in that long-term direction. They're looking for those fancy headlines in the short term.
Yeah. Titan, when we were in the green room beforehand, you had actually provided me a couple of links, which I'd like to show.
Okay. So that's that article. I'm going to pull that up. Okay. So when I was reading this one, you can go on the internet, as we all know, and you can find the view that you want to see just by scrolling through enough pages. A lot of times, though, you'll get articles like this one, and this was one of the ones that really caught my eye because it talks about what we were talking about a little bit earlier, and it compares, what would the total energy consumption be in countries per se, even if we hadn't gone to this digital asset part. And it talks about how it's going to obtain 74% of electricity from renewable sources. What other industries can say that they're obtaining 74% of their electricity usage from renewable sources? There's not very many. So,
well, the counter argument would be, why are we even doing this to begin with? This Bitcoin thing is extra. It's a new thing in our lives, and here it's taking up all this energy. So what if it says it can 75% of it is renewable? It shouldn't be here to begin with.
There's going to be more and more things that come out. It's inevitable that there's going to be new technology. You have even Tesla, who is fairly successful at putting out electric vehicles. So let's assume that everybody wants to go green and everybody goes out and buys these electric vehicles. What do you think the surge in electricity demand is going to be if people are out there all with electric vehicles? There's always going to be a bigger demand for electricity.
Well,
it's
there isn't
not going to
enough,
end.
is there? I'm sure there's articles about, like, if everyone was to replace every car with an electric one, there just wouldn't be enough, whether it's cobalt or nickel or wood. This is one of the things that we just would have a big problem with providing, should everyone try and move to an electric car. I'm not too sure, though. I'd have to pull that one up to remember, but I don't think that is there enough resources for everyone to have an electric car the way we build them.
Right, and that's going to change. The smart people are going to come out and they're going to find a way to change it. But I don't think, and this could go down another rabbit hole, but I don't think that as soon as someone out there, regardless of who it is, raises their hand and says, oh, this is terrible for the environment and here's why, that everybody needs to stop what they're doing and rethink everything. I think we need to have a level of acceptance that, what, we're not the greatest. We're human beings. We're not the greatest at, especially with new technology, utilizing things to their maximum potential. But we'll get there. You just need to have a little bit of patience while we work with the system and come up with a way to make it a little bit better for the environment.
Well, Bitcoin.
Back to when you said about when people say, "What's the point of even having Bitcoin?" I think decentralization is they skip that bit when they talk about Bitcoin and what it's led to. I think decentralization is a massive thing that's come from Bitcoin that will benefit humanity. I think, especially technology wise in the future, I think blockchain technology will have a lot of benefits. So I think decentralization is a very big point of why do we even have Bitcoin mining in the first place. It's more of what it's created rather than just Bitcoin mining.
Well, I have a comment on Titan's thing about how we're kind of doing the best that we can and moving things along. I kind of find it interesting that Bitcoin is almost hacking the human psyche in the fact that it was designed to cause people to invest more and more electricity into it, and when that happens, it even gives you more of a motivation to invest more electricity into it. It seems to be hacking our capitalistic impulses. The more energy you put into it, the more money you're going to make. The more money you're going to make, the more energy you need to put into it, and so on. It seems like it's a perfect hack for our psyche, and that is the guarantee that Bitcoin will continue becoming more popular, whether people want it or not.
Well, people are going to explore, I think, and there's going to be projects, entities, and even individual people who are going to look at that technology and look at whatever consensus mechanism or whatever blockchain and how it's built, and they're going to try and figure out ways to utilize it for their own needs. So it is going to grow exponentially. And it's a matter of time before it then grows. And then when people start to figure out how to use it efficiently, you're going to naturally see the ones that are not efficient start to drop off.
We can actually tie this one into mining and environmentalism with mining and NFTs and stuff. And one of the things that people are complaining about in regards to Bitcoin and stuff they will complain about. I've seen it a couple places, but it will become a lot more. Is people don't seem to realize for all this mining that we do and all this stuff that's bad for the environment, the equivalent human activities of what you do with Bitcoin and other cryptos is even worse. So, we print up a lot of dollars and coins, and that costs a fair amount of money. It costs paper. You've got to transport the paper to make this stuff. And even the money that we don't print up, like the 5 trillion that's been printed up in the last couple of years. 5 trillion, by the way, is more money that the United States has ever printed. It's like 5 times more money than the United States has ever printed in its entire lifetime. Maybe like 2 times, but whatever. Combined, it's just a hellacious amount of money. But so you have a lot of people that need to manage that money, and I don't mean like manage how it's invested, but just transporting the money around. If it's electronic, then they've got to keep the ledgers. They've got to make sure things balance. Bitcoin does that for free. There's a ledger right there. It all balances. It's in order for the transaction to work at all, it balances. So fine, you have a miner for one Bitcoin transaction that puts out a fair amount of energy. What would it cost for a person to be employed for an entire year to be doing that stuff? And what are their costs? What they have gasoline costs, they have food costs. I mean, you're employing people to do all this ledger management, and even then we get it wrong. Bitcoin never gets it wrong. Crypto never gets it wrong. They don't have wrong transactions. And I'm going to say in the ones that are not in beta or alpha, which a lot of them are in right now, but Bitcoin's never had a wrong transaction. People, oh my God, we aspire to get what, like 70-80% correct?
Yeah, see, I mean, it's the job side of it for me. Like, you get rid of all the the people who do the ledgers. What do they do for a living then? Like, is it good that less people have jobs? I don't think it is. But what happens when more people? Go on, sorry.
Our society isn't very good at changing our demographics. In the United States, with healthcare, Obama came along and he put in place Obamacare, and that disrupts this balkanized system we have with another system. And you can argue about who benefits and who doesn't benefit, but the point is, it's a demographic shift. All of a sudden, you have some people that have medical coverage, and now they don't. And the reasons don't really matter as much as the fact that people have to switch. They don't like. And if anybody has to retrain for their job, they're going to bitch up a storm. Because if you were an accountant and you just kept track of where dollars and cents were, and now a blockchain comes along and does that, oh my God, they're going to complain, and they won't know what to do. Now, for what it's worth, I know how they feel. I was in the military. Titan was in the military, and we both got replaced by email. So that's my claim to fame. I was replaced by email. I had to start over.
Yeah, well, I think there's a side effect of us. You think of all the people who earn money as well from crypto. How many people started a business and gave jobs back in a different way, though? Do you know what I mean? Started a company, maybe invested in something that created jobs in a different area, but all because they made money from crypto.
Well, are most people right now? Are most people making money? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is a lot of people, most people that I'm aware of, have a job working for somebody else. And, if these jobs will come out, but somebody else is going to have to employ them. It's not everybody's going to be able to make their own jobs, because it's hard to run your own business, and it costs a lot of money.
Well, I think that a lot of people also do jobs that they don't really like. They're doing them so they can get a paycheck. I think if it was easier for people to walk into the crypto space and do what they like to do with it, you can find a way to do what you like to do and make money on it in the crypto space. And that is really just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even gotten into the meat of it all yet. People haven't deployed crypto to its full potential. It's just a scratch on the surface. So if there are people that lose their job because of robots or AI or digital currencies, there will be more jobs in the digital currency space where they can do what they know over time. I don't think it's going to eliminate a job. I think, hitting to Faz's point, it's going to force them, though, to take a step back and force them to adapt. Previously, like right now, the companies end up adapting instead of the people. The people just do their thing every day and do the same thing day in, day out. And the companies do the adapting to the market conditions. Whereas now we're coming into a phase or an era where people are going to have to start to adapt to what's going on around them. And I think that's part of the difficulty of accepting this industry. And I think that is something that should be taught to people, that say, hey, it's not so difficult to do. Here's a way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely, it's, people talk about it like it's rocket science, and I think that's a problem. Like, people have this very scary opinion of how much there is to learn, when it is a case is they don't want to change, or they're just so comfortable that why should I have to learn? Why should it affect my life? I think that becomes a bit of an attitude, and they don't want to go and learn a new skill. They'd rather just complain.
Well, that's basic human nature. We all try. A lot of us try to do as little as possible because we have enough stressors in our lives, and we a lot of people who are working jobs that they don't want to, working fast food and stuff like that. They don't want to be there, and they're stressed out by other things. And if they had their way, they would not change anything at all, so they could deal with the rest of their lives. But actually, I think it's a big opportunity. Back in 1995, I had gotten a job at Kinko's, if you remember that place. It's a photocopy place here in the U.S. And myself and another guy were driving to another town, to Lawrence, Kansas, for training. And during this, we started talking about how the internet was coming up and coming, and that everything was going to be digitized. And we had this long, very nice, wide-ranging conversation about all the jobs that were going to be created digitizing everything, documents, legal contracts, pictures, every book that the human race owns, somebody's going to want to digitize that. And there's a lot of paper that we had at the time. And we've been doing that, and we've been integrating in them more and more. In fact, a couple of years later, I had a job digitizing data from a car company, into databases. And we're still doing that, except now we're working with it, and most things are digitized. Well, with money, we haven't had that revolution yet. We haven't taken money and moved it all online. We've kind of chipped around the corners. We've kind of eaten around the edges, but we haven't done our major real transactions with real crypto. And there's a difference between bank electronic transactions and crypto. Bank electronic transactions, like what the Swift network uses, are just messages saying, I paid you, you paid me, okay. and Swift doesn't even get it right all the time. They get some of those wrong. Sometimes bank transactions get lost, but these transactions don't reconcile completely when they're done. They simply just pass the message across, and then the bank, both sides then have to worry about reconciling later if there's a problem. Once we have a system where it automatically reconciles, then we can start doing the things that we really wanted to do while we were worrying about reconciling things. It's like, okay, let's spend more time making those financial products, and let's hire people doing those things. So what happened with the internet is there wound up becoming a very large technical support group coming out of nowhere, and some of the first jobs in the mid '90s were tech support. You called them up and figured out how to use your new computer, or you helped the corporate people. Corporations had their own tech support departments, and they helped them work with stuff. And those tech support departments are going strong. So I could totally see that kind of thing going on with money as well. If you lose a Bitcoin transaction or you think you've lost one, you don't know what to do, some tech support people will show you how to get things right. And of course, there'll be people who. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. It strikes me when you say stuff like that, that's where people are going to get confused too, because these private companies are going to come out to work with people, let's say, trying to find their Bitcoin transactions, but it's not Bitcoin that's employing them. They're going to have to wrap their head around the fact that decentralization and these blockchains aren't controlled by anybody. I think once people get over that hump, they'll realize that their customer service job that they have now working for ABC company is really no different. So there is a knowledge shift maybe in what it is they're supporting, but it's not like taking them, totally ripping them out of whatever career they're in now and throwing them completely blind into something else.
Right. There'll always be another company to go to. So if you had, technical support with Apple for your Bitcoin transactions, and then all of a sudden, they make you unhappy, then you can go to any number of other services that'll help you with your Bitcoin transactions. And I think there's a lot of people who are afraid, will be afraid of the finality of each transaction. We're used to right now transactions being reversible, because a bank, really, it's kind of this wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I think there's a whole other podcast that we could do just on how money actually works and how banks don't actually deal with real money, but rather with IOUs. But we're used to money being reversible, transaction being reversible. If you get something in the mail, or if you buy something from a store and you're not happy with it because maybe it's broken or whatever, you'll want a refund. A lot of times they can reverse the transaction, or if there's fraud, you can reverse the transaction. Not so with crypto, but there is some. There's, I think USDC allows for reversible transactions. I think you'll see some layer 2 solutions, as it were, with other cryptos, making them reversible, so that you can pay somebody and they'll go to some sort of holding place until a certain point, and then it goes to the other people.
Well, that's part of the big reason that Lightning Network, running on Bitcoin, that's one of the big attractions to that, because all of these transactions happen off chain, and then at a certain point they're put back into the chain. So there's that gap in the way that reversible transactions can work. Like that is a real simple code change to when those transactions are posted back to the Bitcoin blockchain. So I think that allays a lot of the fears there when it comes to, buying something from a store and working with a refund. It actually solidifies the company standard a little bit more, where they say, hey, you have 7 days to return this, or that's it. I mean, if it's coded on the way that they're working the Lightning Network that way, that's what makes it final. It can sit in limbo for those 7 days, and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, remember, there are going to be companies that will probably want to do this layer 2 solution themselves, because say if you go shopping at Target might not be happy with the fact that they can't control the reversing of this money very well, and so they're going to prefer to do it their way, so that you have to go through their system so that they can best profit. It will burn down to profit. If I buy something from Target and they make a solution and they make their own solution to where it can be reversed, I'm going to have to jump through their hoops. You might not be able to code all those hoops into Lightning Network. Lightning Network, I would say, would be good for everybody or anybody to use, but stores aren't going to want to be in the system that anybody is. They're going to want to be in what they can control. They can't control the crypto, but they can control how it's spent and how they take it in. So I bet you'll see some layer 2 solutions that are very proprietary, and then of course they'll be marking that up as the best. You can pay in Bitcoin and it goes just as fast as XRP.
Well, there's other problems with that though too. You don't want to keep it off chain for very long, because you have then the risk of price movement in whatever currency you're using, because today Bitcoin's 51,000, and they keep those transactions on their layer 2 solution for 7 days. What is the price of Bitcoin at that point? If it's down, if it takes a jump down to 42, then that organization is going to get far less when those hit the chain. There's risks all the way around. You want something, you have to work it so that you have to work it.
XRP is a solution. For example, XRP is literally, you just trade it from Bitcoin to XRP, you send it to the other side, and then it goes from XRP into Bitcoin. That gets that in a that's how they sell what they do. This is their layer 2 solution. Companies will want to wrap all of that and have and control when and how and so on, and how that stuff resolves. They might want to make money on the float. They might want to take advantage of price movements. If they suspect that they're going to go up or down, they might want to hold things longer. So
that's true. There's utility tokens for that now. The AMP token works that way with Gemini Pay, with the Gemini exchange. And what it does is it does the same thing you were just talking about with XRP. It automatically settles that off-chain behind the scenes using that AMP token. And things can be converted instantly then from Bitcoin to fiat, so that the merchant is able to instantly select whether they want it instantly in Bitcoin, whether they want it in any other cryptocurrency or fiat, and it settles immediately. And then so there already is solutions out for that, but how widespread is that? And are companies ready at this point to deal with the accounting nightmares that could create? Because they would have to have validation and figure out how to get those hashes to line up in their accounting software. So to go way back in the conversation, I'm hoping Mal's not asleep over there, to his accounting reference. You take that out. Okay, so here's the new role for accountants. Maybe you don't have fiat only. Maybe now you're going to walk into the digital side, and you'll be the one to be able to figure out how to get for whatever company you're working for, those hashes to go into that accounting software.
It's a good point for the new jobs, especially because someone's going to need to, like you say, with all of this conversion rates, someone's going to need to check everything's going well on the back, especially things if they're off-chain. Off-chain scares me a little bit, I'll be honest. You can definitely try and get some funny actors working harder when things are off-chain, but that's for another show, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's a really big dive, because how things like Lightning work, you're actually staking Bitcoin on the network in order to make that work. And you have to pull that block of Bitcoin off of the Bitcoin chain, set it into the Lightning Network, let all these back end transactions take place, then take that amount of Bitcoin and drop it back onto the chain. So, yeah, it is a little scary.
Well, remember, and I'm seeing a lot of permutations of these ideas. Right now, you have a lot of companies like Gemini, BlockFi, Coinbase. Everybody wants you to park your money in BitTrue. Everybody wants you to park their money on their exchange so that they can make money off of your money. Layer 2 solution might be just to transfer it to them, and then they can hold it, they can loan it out, they can make money, and if you do have to return something, then they've made money in the intervening time. You would normally get paid interest, and they can offset some of the money that way. I'm sure companies somehow do this right now between assets and liabilities and currency and property right now, but it's going to be easier and more automated with crypto.
So, Mel, you were talking a little bit earlier about how you think that the jobs in this field could expand. What are one or two examples of areas where you think that the job market is going to just open like floodgates to get people into the crypto sphere with their career?
Oh. See,
Yeah,
I had a really good think about it. The biggest side effect, I think, for job creation will be just more with the decentralization. I feel like you have a bigger market to sell to with whatever it is you do on crypto. So I feel like those who do it well, you can have less of a like with stocks and shares. I feel like it's very, very controlled. I feel like you're a very small guy. Even if you went in with quite a bit of money, you don't really have it's not very fair, it's not very balanced, whereas I feel like with decentralization, everyone can step into it and have a fair shot at developing something, or just making money from it in general, or whatever it is. So I think the biggest side effect will be all the people creating jobs to do. I actually had this conversation with a friend the other day. Imagine in 5 years a world full of like millionaires that were never supposed to be rich, people who just bought a shit coin and it got tweeted and mooned and they pulled out a few million. Imagine the side effects of a lot more people with money and wanting to create their own goals, whether it be on the chain or not, whether it just be different companies, whether it be developing technology that benefits humans, whatever it is. I just feel like the more money getting spread across from, it usually sits with just the rich people, I've found, whereas decentralization will push more money into more pockets, which I think will create wealth in a different way.
It does. I got really excited hearing you say that, because it will allow, I think, more people to take advantage of what they really want to do and what they're really good at. It gives them that financial boost to maybe be able to create something that they never thought they would be able to do. I mean, think about it. How many people are out there working in jobs that they hate just so they can pay their mortgage and pay their bills? And they're super good at something like art and they always wanted to be an artist. Well, this could give them that opportunity by making a little bit of money, in this crypto sphere, and being able to give them the opportunity to go out and create what they always had in their head.
It'll make the world more interesting because
and investing in technology. Like if I got rich, I'd probably look into developing technologies that were sort of definitely going to help us, but sort of people didn't really see a profit in it. There'd be people who are just willing to spend the money on things that like don't make them money. They're just happy to. I think you'll get more of that because they've just made money that they didn't really ever think they'd have. They didn't, maybe, especially with the people, as I say, who've bought a coin and it's just absolutely mooned by chance. Like that's money you'd never plan to have. You might be more willing to go and build a homeless shelter which employs 5 people to take care of it. It's not profitable, but it's just something that you can do because you can, because it's money you didn't really care about. I think it'll definitely have an attitude effect, like a psychological effect on people. Just decentralization of the globalness, really. Like an artist could make an NFT that is amazing and not have to worry about trying to get a platform to sell it on. They can just put it on OpenSea, bang, millions of people worldwide can see it and judge if they want it. They can pay you instantly. There was no need to go through banks and give names and details. It was anonymous.
You know, a while, about a month or two ago, I was, I've been doing pretty good with crypto, and a while ago, I was like, you know what? I wonder if I ever can get the position of quitting my job, and if I did, before I quit my job, I might want to get a home equity loan because it might be good to be able to use some of my house credit to do some things with it. And I might also want to use it as an emergency lifeboat in case if I don't have a job, I might need to bail myself out. And so we started going through it and started going through the home equity loan process, and I forgot how onerous it is to purchase and or refinance a house. They ask a million different questions. You have to justify a million different things. They didn't have to go to your house, inspect the property, determine value, all that stuff. None of that is needed with crypto. I don't need to explain anything to anybody for a DeFi transaction. And so the more I was getting into this and having to explain my house and weighing things like, oh, well, we didn't fix this up, so this is going to be a knock on how much money we get. Oh, we should fix this up first. I'm like, I'm so tired of having to deal with the bank's opinion of my house just to be able to use my house equity. And that's what you have to deal with to every day when you're not working with crypto. To borrow money for a car, you have to deal with somebody's opinion of how you can pay them back and so on. Everybody wants to loan you money, and they want to be assured 6 ways to Sunday that they will get paid back. So they want to really introspect it to your life. With DeFi, it's simple. It's like a pawn shop. You bring in your grandmother's diamond ring, and that's full collateral for a loan that you have. So if the diamond ring is worth $500 and that's based on some physical characteristics, you'll get 400 according to the pawn shop. So it's easier to determine. DeFi right now is in that area where what do they call those? Fully collateralized loans. You can get a fully collateralized loan. No questions asked. I don't care who you are. I don't care why you want it. Do you have collateral to put up? Boom, done. If your collateral goes down in value, then that affects how and when you pay back. But that's something, again, that can be predicted rather than just opinions as far as your house, your credit record, your life. There's so much more that you've got to do with your life just to get money these days for a credit card or for a house. But not with crypto. Crypto, it's based on the value of the crypto. That's it.
Yeah, like flash loans as well. Speaking of, like, you get £1 million loan. That's crypto, and if you do that right, you can make some money. So you had £1 million, but you never owned $1 million. You never touched $1 million. You never seen $1 million. But in that transaction, you had the power of $1 million. Imagine the effort you'd have to go through to lend $1 million for one transaction to try and make a profit to then give the $1 million back.
Oh my God! Just with regular financial.
It'd be a nightmare. And this is, you're talking getting a flash loan of someone like me or you. Definitely couldn't pay back $1 million if we lost it. But they're not even going to ask that because they don't care. Because in crypto, you couldn't steal it, you couldn't lose it. Like, they know they're getting the $1 million back, which is what I think is great with like flash loans. And imagine having the weight of $1 million in a trade, for example. Like, you're getting a much bigger profit. So I think, as you say, the decentralization of the crypto aspect for even loans is just amazing.
Well, buying art, if we're regular art, if you're right now we have NFT art, which makes things a lot easier. If you were to buy a painting for $50,000, you have to get the painting appraised. You have to worry about its transport, about what kind of humidity it should be in, and stuff like that. There's all this extra stuff with physical objects that you don't have to worry about with NFTs. NFTs can be printed up 1 million times, and you have the ownership separate from the copies. And that's awesome.
Especially with mint numbers and things like that, because humans care about trivial things. I've always said it. That's why we collect silly things that mean so much to you and nothing to someone else.
Well, and NFTs make us all honest all of a sudden. It's really causing us to be honest. It's like, really, why is the Mona Lisa a big deal? It's a big deal because there's only one. It looks kind of cool. It's painted by somebody who's kind of cool, and it could physically degrade after a period of time. You take that degradation out of the way. By the way, I think there will be NFTs that degrade after a while intentionally. But you take that degradation out of the way, it doesn't completely remove the value. The Mona Lisa is still important if there's only one, and it will never degrade.
Yeah, I mean, I like the physical NFTs. Like, I own two now. The Scarlet Crystals are amazing. I think physical NFTs are a brilliant thing as well. Like, and fit like it's you can hold it, see it, but it's still tracked on the blockchain.
I like the code. They have I have both of them as well. I like the fact they stamp them with a code. I'm not sure that I'd want to sell the digital NFT while I still own the physical one.
I just think it's nice that there are many different physical NFTs. I'd seen the Bitcoin billionaire, some young lad, he was talking about his physical NFT jacket. His jacket was trackable on the blockchain. There are only 100 or whatever that exist. I just think it's nice because people like rarity. I don't know. Imagine owning a pair of trainers that only 100 existed in the world and you could prove it.
All right, guys. So looks like things are kind of coming to a natural close here with our subject today. I do want to remind people now, since I did not remind people earlier, that no one here in this podcast is a financial advisor. We certainly have opinions, but they're ours, and we like them that way. We also have some text in the YouTube description below, some legal text to show that we're not. Don't trust our opinions. Just don't go out and buy a whole bunch of crypto because we told you it's a good idea. Make your own opinions. Do your own research. Learn about what you're investing in. We're here to give you ideas, not to tell you what to do.
Excellent.
And on that note,
as always, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been great.
Okay, good. All right. So I think that's it for now. And I'm gonna close the broadcast here. Have a good day, guys.